Hello, so today I'm going to be talking about my IFP experience in the school, and I've been doing it ever since activities started this year. Um, so today, basically, I'm going to talk about learning outcomes 1, 2, 4, and 7. Learning outcome 1 states that I identify my own strengths and develop areas for growth, which I think I have been doing so far in IFP because I think that I'm a friendly, peaceful person who avoids conflict of any kind. And I thought that IFP would be a good chance for me to develop on those traits. And I can personally say that IFP has been an amazing experience so far. Although we haven't had too many sessions of it, I feel that I am passionate about it because we did this simulation which lasted about like 3 weeks. Um, we learned about stereotyping, which is very broad and very general and has been talked about in many other subjects as well. But this specific simulations that they made us do, these were extremely eye-opening, and I enjoyed them extremely thoroughly because I understand how unconscious these stereotypes can be now, because we understood how phrases like, oh, you throw like a girl, or you're Asian, you must be smart, or things like that, or uh, you're blonde, you're stupid, like stuff like this. It's said so often that it's a norm and it's just in our minds now. And we understood that these things actually affect people. People are genuinely offended, or they react in ways that you might not want them to. You might say it as a joke. You might say, "Oh, you throw like a girl," as a joke to one of your friends, but they might actually take it personally, and they might actually um, be upset and affected by these things. Um, However, like these things are said so often that we don't even process them anymore. Um, and I understand that peace building is extremely important, especially in this day and age where so many things are happening politically, and there's so many threats that can happen. And UWC advocates peace and equality very well, and I feel that I need to understand it, and I need to understand world peace. I need to understand how to build peace amongst people, amongst countries, amongst all types of situations in which conflict and peace have to be understood, which I we have been doing so far. Um, the next learning outcomes I'm going to talk about is the second one, which states that I demonstrate that challenges have been undertaken, developing new skills in the process. So on Tuesdays, which are the days of IFP, I have extremely long days because I used to have preseason touch in the morning from 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. and then school, and then my local service from 3 to 4:30, and then IFP right after from 4:30 to 6:30. So now that I don't do preseason touch anymore, I do preseason softball. The timetable schedule is the exact same. My days start at around 5. I wake up at 5. I get to school. I train. And then my days end around 7. So the fact that my Tuesdays are extremely long um, are extremely challenging because I cannot have one entire day of the week where I'm just wasting. Because if I get home on Tuesdays, I would be too tired to actually do any productive work. Which makes my entire Tuesday go to waste because I'm not studying, I'm not doing any work basically. So this was honestly a challenge for me because I did not understand how to prioritize my time. I did not understand how to manage it. I did not, because this has been the first time where I've had to prioritize every single thing I do to the maximum. Because IB takes everything into consideration and stuff. So I've had to not divide my time unequally. I have to spend an equal amount of time on everything and equally prioritize every single thing, which has been hard for me because I spend an entire Tuesday just in school. So that is an entirely huge challenge for me. And but I have found a solution to do my work on days before and after Tuesday, so that I can come home and rest on Tuesday evenings after IFP. So I believe that up till now I'm doing fine, but I hope that when the workload piles up, that I can still manage this time as well as I am now, because I feel that I'm developing this skill of time management, which I haven't really had before, because now that I understand the importance of every subject and everything that I do, I have been able to put my mind in the right place. I have been able to put time aside for every single thing, which has been a bit of a challenge, but has been quite easy so far as well at the same time. So I feel that when the workload piles up, it might be hard for me, but at the same time, I might keep developing this time management skill, which might just make it easier to balance out my lifestyle. The next learning outcome I will talk about is learning outcome 4. This is like the longest reflection I've done, because IFP has honestly been an incredible ride. So learning outcome 4 states that I show commitment and persevere in this CAS experience. And one of the points below it says that I demonstrate regular involvement and active engagement. So I would say that I think I do this because I commit to it. I go every week. Even though my days are extremely long and I'm tired and I might have exams like the day before or the day after, or things like that, I still choose to go because I find it an extremely good chance for me to understand everything around me. Because so I demonstrate regular involvement. I love IFP. I've been able to talk about my ideas. I've been able to contribute a good amount, because we have these discussions, we have these activities that we do as a group, but we're placed into different groups, into different situations, and we're forced to think about what to do, how to react, how to understand situations as a group or as an individual, and to take everything into account when we do. And the fact that we work in these little groups also touches on learning outcome 5, which states that I demonstrate the skills and recognize the benefits of working collaboratively, which we do because we're placed into groups sometimes. We're forced to have these little discussions within ourselves, within our groups, within the entire IFP group, and we talk about the pros and cons of conflict. We talk about how little a conflict can be, and how someone liking pineapple on their pizza and someone despising pineapple on their pizza could lead to a conflict. Not a big one, but it could lead to some kind of friction between them. This has been a good opportunity for me to talk about the things we do together as a group, and we analyze. We have these reflections within IFP as well, because we do something and then we reflect on it, and then we do something else and we reflect on it, which has honestly helped me understand the entire flow and the entire system of this IFP very well, because now I understand why we do things and what these activities are supposed to reach, like their aim. Lastly, I'm going to talk about learning outcome 7, which says that I recognize and consider the ethics implications of choices and actions, which I genuinely think is a very big part of this, because in IFP we understand global and political conflicts between countries as well. And when we analyze these things, we need to understand that different countries have different priorities and different mindsets and different societies and environments, we need to understand that. We need to understand that their ethics are different. And an example would be last week we were put in a simulation where half the group was divided into two, and in these two groups we were divided again into twos, and one of these groups was a rich country which would provide resources and had a lot of development and technology. But the other two groups were poor, and they were colonized by other people. They've been exploited, and they've finally been liberated, and they have this chance of making a monument. So our task, I was in the country where we were poor and we were trying to make our own little monuments. So the poor countries were basically just told to make a monument, and they were told that we were told of our background of being exploited by rich countries and everything. And so we were left to build our little monument for about 30 minutes, and then the rich countries were told to come in and provide help. But because of the fact that we, the poor country, have been exploited before, we did not want the help of these rich countries and these developed countries. We were hostile to them. We weren't allowing them to help us. We weren't even allowing them to communicate with us because we entirely shut them out. We were doing our own thing. We didn't care what they had to offer. We then found out after the simulation that these developed countries were actually genuine, and they really did want to help us. And being in the poor country, I feel that we should have understood that these developed countries were actually genuinely wanting to help us. But in this way, we understood that these poor countries, they have to stand their own ground sometimes. So it is understandable when they refuse to collaborate with these developed countries to increase their productivity or anything like that, because now that we were in this simulation, we understand why they might be reluctant or why they might doubt these rich developed countries, even though they might be genuine, because they've done things before, or there is a possibility that they might do some things to the poor country, because there's obviously a different power level between these countries. That's about it. Sorry for the reflection being a bit too long, but IFP has had a great impact on me, and I really hope that I'm able to stay committed to it and manage my time, even though the workload of IB might get worse, and I might have a bit of a hard time managing because one day of my entire week is going to waste. Sorry, but I really do hope that I can continue IFP, because it's been a great experience so far, and I know that it will be a great one to go on with. Yeah, thank you.